And I call the member for Dawson.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. This motion acknowledges the cost of living pressures, including the cost of groceries, and that are putting Australians under the pump. This is exactly what those of us on this side of the House have been talking about for a long time, and we've been pleading with those opposite to do something about the cost of living pressures for well over 12 months. The unfortunate reality is we are living in a Labor-created cost of living crisis, and those opposite have failed to provide any real help or any real assurance to the people of Australia that they're going to do something, absolutely anything, about this. I firstly want to highlight the disappointing section where the member for Spence states, "These measures are further examples of the government ensuring everyone is doing their bit when it comes to easing the cost of living." What a joke. When I think of the Albanese Labor government, I don't think of examples that they have ensured anything other than a pattern of broken promises, ill-advised policy-making, inflating or stroking their own political agendas and egos. What does come to mind when I think of the Albanese Labor government are the following: burying their heads in the sand about the cost of living pressures facing Australians, while choosing to spend millions of dollars on a divisive and failed referendum, 12 interest rate rises forcing mortgages and rents up, housing costs rising by 12%, promising 97 times that we would see $275 reduction in our power bills, when in reality our electricity prices are now up by 20%, fuel prices increasing, insurance costs are up by 22%, food costs have gone up by 9%. Those opposite have implemented tax after tax on our major industries, penalising the hard-working Australians who greatly contribute to our economy, and this is making our cost of living worse. And now they're trying to push a turbocharged vehicle emissions policy on the people of Australia, which will force car prices to increase by up to $25,000. And that's not even taking into account for the fact that these price increases could push some vehicle costs up so high that they'll now incur the luxury car sales tax on top of that. For a long time now, the Coalition has been calling on the Prime Minister and his government to direct the Australian Competition and Community Commission to conduct a price inquiry into the competitiveness of retail prices and allegations of price gouging in the supermarket sector. We have been calling for this for a very, very long time. While the Labor government seems to have finally started to realise how bad the situation is and is doing the absolute bare minimum by announcing the ACCC inquiry into supermarket prices. The fact that they've only just announced this in this February, when we've seen the final and we won't see the final report till the end of February next year, is shameful. I always like to look at the positive side of things, and I would love to be able to say better late than never. Unfortunately, for the people of Australia, this is far too late. Under this Albanese Labor government, we've seen families struggle to decide whether to pay either their rent or mortgage, buy their medication or feed their families, because at the moment, Deputy Speaker, they can't do all three. We've seen the housing crisis worsen, and more families and individuals in Dawson are being displaced, living in their cars or in tents or even on the street. And which demographic is hurting the most? It's those that can't afford to cut their budget any further. It's the single parents trying to feed and clothe and house their children. These single parents are skipping meals just so their children can eat. It's the younger generations trying to put themselves through uni or work through an apprenticeship on the minimum wage. It's the older generations trying to live off their pensions. Over 50% of the people in Australia are only just making ends meet, or actually failing to do so. So, Deputy Speaker, while the announcement of the ACCC inquiry into supermarket price gouging is a step in the right direction, the cost of living crisis has already taken so many victims hostage, and this announcement has come far too late and should have been done a long time ago. This announcement is what the people of Australia and the people of my electorate deserved months ago. The Albanese Labor government is failing Australians. They need to do better.
Authorised by Andrew Wilcox, LNP Mackay.